Some people move through life with a quiet heaviness they never put into words. A heaviness shaped by one belief: trusting others is dangerous. If you've ever felt that way even a little, this video might feel like someone finally speaking your language. Because today, we're going to slowly, gently peel back the layers of the psychology behind people who do not trust anyone. And as we go deeper, you might find parts of yourself reflected in ways you didn't expect. It usually starts long before adulthood. Trust is not something we're born understanding, it's something we learn. And for many people who struggle with trust, the earliest lessons were painful ones. A parent who promised stability but delivered chaos. A caregiver who was present physically but distant emotionally. A home full of rules but lacking warmth. These moments don't always look traumatic from the outside, but to a child's nervous system, they are earthquakes. Children notice everything. And when they grow up constantly guessing what mood someone will be in or wondering whether their feelings will be dismissed, they learn a silent rule. It's safer to depend on myself. That rule becomes a story. That story becomes a worldview, and that worldview becomes a personality trait people later misinterpret as coldness or indifference. In adulthood, this lack of trust doesn't always show up dramatically. Most of the time, it's subtle, quiet, hidden under layers of logic and self-protection. Someone who doesn't trust might appear calm, even confident, but beneath the surface, their mind never fully rests. They observe carefully, they replay small moments in their head. They notice inconsistencies others ignore. They analyze tone, wording, body language, anything that might reveal whether a person is safe or not. Sometimes they don't trust compliments. They don't trust apologies. They don't trust "I promise." They hear the words, but their body doesn't believe them. It's not because they read negative, it's because their nervous system is trained to expect disappointment. This creates a cycle they rarely talk about. They desire connection like everyone else. They want to be close to people. They want to open up. But as soon as someone gets too close, something inside them tightens. A quiet voice whispers, "Be careful." This is how people get hurt. And so they pull back, not dramatically, not with anger, but with subtle emotional distance, shorter answers, fewer details, lighter conversations. Most people don't even notice the withdrawal, but they feel it deeply. What many don't realize is that trust issues often come with a deep fear of vulnerability. People who don't trust anyone learned long ago that their emotions were not safe in the hands of others. Maybe someone used their feelings against them. Maybe someone mocked their honesty. Maybe their vulnerability was met with silence instead of support. And now, every moment of openness feels like stepping into a room with the lights off, uncertain, risky, unpredictable. And yet, the deeper truth is that they don't just fear others. They also fear themselves. They fear choosing the wrong person again. They fear repeating old mistakes. They fear not recognizing red flags until it's too late. So the safest solution becomes distance. You might see this in relationships where they keep conversations on the surface. They avoid talking about their past. They struggle to express their needs. They say they're fine even when they're hurting. And when someone tries to care about them, they feel overwhelmed. As if love is a responsibility they're not sure they can carry. Friendships can be difficult for them too. They prefer one-on-one interactions over groups. They feel uncomfortable when someone tries to get too close too quickly. They fear being judged, misunderstood, or abandoned. So they keep people at arm's length not because they don't like them, but because closeness feels like danger disguised as comfort. Over time, this creates loneliness. Even surrounded by people, they feel alone inside themselves. They might crave deeper connection, but have no idea how to build it without feeling like they're risking emotional injury. But there's another layer, a softer, more painful one. People who don't trust often carry unhealed memories. Times when they trusted someone who lied. Times when they confided in someone who betrayed their secrets. times when they leaned on someone who disappeared the moment things got difficult. These experiences don't just fade. They shape beliefs, they create patterns, they whisper, "never again." And here is something people rarely discuss. Those who trust no one often compensate by becoming highly self-reliant. They're the type who handle everything themselves. They solve their own problems. They keep their struggles private. This independence looks admirable from the outside, but on the inside, it can feel like carrying the world alone. They rarely ask for help because needing someone feels like giving away power. They struggle to let others support them because it feels like an invitation to disappointment. They'd rather break quietly under the weight than risk depending on someone who might walk away. But beneath all of this, beneath the walls, the caution, the distance, is a deep longing. A longing to feel safe, to meet someone who listens without judgment. To find a connection that doesn't require constant self-defense. People who don't trust often want connection more intensely than anyone else. But they want it without the fear. Healing for them doesn't happen quickly. Trust isn't a switch they can flip. It's more like a dimmer fading in slowly, moment by moment. It begins with consistency, someone showing up, someone proving through small actions over time that they are safe, someone who doesn't force closeness but gently earns it, and eventually something shifts. The walls don't come crashing down, but a small window opens. A little light gets in, a small part of them realizes that not everyone wants to hurt them, that there are people who don't thrive on manipulation or broken promises, that safety is possible. If you are someone who struggles to trust, here's something important. You are not difficult, you are not cold, you are not broken. You are protecting parts of yourself that were wounded long before you learned the language to describe that pain. Your caution is not your identity. It's a response to what you lived through. And you are allowed to grow beyond it. Trust doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't ask you to suddenly open your heart to everyone. It simply asks for tiny steps, tiny moments of letting someone in, tiny decisions to believe in the possibility of goodness again. Maybe trusting fully still feels far away. That's okay. Healing is not a race. Your pace is valid. But remember this, the world is not made entirely of the people who hurt you. There are gentle people, patient people, people who will respect your boundaries and handle your heart with care. People who won't rush your healing or shame your fears. You don't have to trust everyone. You just have to trust the right ones. And slowly, as you learn to recognize them, the world becomes less frightening. And connection becomes something that nourishes you instead of threatening you. Take your time, protect your heart, but don't close it forever. Because somewhere out there are people who can meet you with the safety, softness, and steadiness you always deserved. And the moment you allow even a little bit of that into your life, everything begins to change.